What's up, Mafia? Hey, this question I get sometimes for people who are trying to become financially free but are also living with their parents. They always ask, how long should I be living with them? That's a great question. Hey guys, my name is Rick. I'm a financial coach and the owner of the Debt Free Mafia. And if you are interested in living the debt-free lifestyle, if you like that idea, if you are about leaving a legacy to your children's children, and you like the debt-free vibe, go ahead and hit subscribe. I'd love for you to be a part of this. Guys, I kind of want to jump into this question because I've gotten this question a few different times from some folks, especially there might be some millennials and even some Gen Z that are starting to ask that question. You know, how long should you live with your parents, right? So that's a really, really good question. So first and foremost, if you are living with your parents, I wanted to say I admire that because I know that you're trying to do the smart thing because that way you're not having to pay. Some of them pay. I know some people pay rent to their parents, some don't. Either way, you're probably saving money in some sort of fashion by being able to do this. Because even if you did have your own apartment, there's all kinds of other expenses that get kicked in, aka bills, right? So electricity, water, fees, it doesn't matter. It's all different wherever you go. So typically, whenever you stay with your parents, the scenario is that you're being able to either save money or pay off debt or whatever it is. So let's jump into this. So what I'd really want you to do first off and foremost is kind of list down the reasons why you're staying with your folks. It might be, hey, I'm trying to save money. It's cheaper for me to live here. My mom is an amazing cook. Coach Rick recommended it in our client session that I stay here just a little bit longer. Whatever it might be that you're trying to accomplish, write down your goals. Maybe your goals are paying off debt. Maybe your goals are saving at least a certain amount of money so you can afford a down payment on a home or a car or something like that. Please don't save a down payment for a car, just so you know. I don't endorse that. But I know people who have had that mentality. So, but let's kind of jump into it. When does it become not acceptable, right? So this varies. This varies between different cultures and different areas of the world. There are certain cultures where it's like, hey, you hit 18, boom, get kicked out. You're not allowed to be here anymore, right? Go and get a job, lazy bum. There's that culture, and then there's other cultures where they're like, hey, you can live here as long as you want to. Or the culture say, you can live here as long as you want to until you get married. It just depends. Let me know in the comments below what it was like for you growing up. Did you get kicked out at 18, or were you allowed to stay? What was the temperature there? So that kind of leads me into the next part. That really comes down to we always value here at the Debt Free Mafia relationships over money, right? So we want you can always fix your money problems by being smart and working hard. However, you cannot always fix relationships, right? They can be very fragile and sometimes inconsolable. So that's why we always prioritize relationships. And typically, you know, we talk about the debt snowball here and that being the strategy on how to pay off debt. However, with certain clients, we will focus on the debts where they owe friends or family first because, you know, I don't know if you've ever been there, but you kind of feel awkward when you're around that person because you just want to be like, I'm going to pay you back. I'm going to pay you back. Don't worry, the payment's coming. I'll get you paid back. You know, you kind of feel like that. So there can be that feeling of uneasiness being around somebody you owe money to. So we always prioritize that because we want to keep the relationship good. So one thing I always talk to with my clients who are curious, you know, that are living at home, one of the first questions I usually ask them is, how's that going? So that's something I want you to ask yourself. How is it going? Is it going good? Is it going okay? Is it going bad? Is it gonna keep going good? Is it gonna eventually end in a train wreck? You know, a lot of people typically have an idea like this. I know people who have lived with folks who typically it's good to go all the time, but every now and then they can be a loose cannon and everything can go south. I would tell you this is my personal suggestion. This is something that I tell my clients. You are the best temperature gauge for how it's going, right? If it is going good, then great, you can keep staying there. You can keep paying off your debt. However, if you're married, I would encourage you to go ahead and move and make sure that the both of you are working. Find something that you can get into for inexpensive. Ask around, whatever you can do. Reason being, all of the principles I teach are biblically based principles. Scripture recommends the son leaving, non-cleaving to his mom, and sorry, words are messed up today, but not cleaving to his mother and father, but leaving and going on to start his own legacy with him and his wife, right? So, and I think and that's in the book of Proverbs, which is the book of wisdom, and I think there's a lot of wisdom there because typically you have two different independent relationships happening under the same household. There can be tension there because there's people who are not related in the house, technically without, not blood related anyways. There's difference of opinions. It's kind of hard to say, hey, mind your own business whenever you live literally under their house. Mind your own house. Well, you were in my house, right? So there can just be some tension in those areas. So that's why I recommend moving out. Let's get you something inexpensive to where if you are having financial goals, let's try to get you set up to where you could have financial goals, whatever that might be. Again, this is a really good opportunity to hire a financial coach because they'll look at your individual situation and tell you what to do. But going back, if you are single and you live with your folks, as long as the temperature is good and you have a great relationship with your parents, I recommend staying, right? I recommend staying if you need to hit those goals. There's no shame in it. There's no shame in it. A lot of older generations like to blame millennials for still living at home. Well, it's a lot more difficult to buy a home in today's market than it was 30 years ago when they were looking for a home. And the supply of houses is much lower. It has not kept up with the growth of population. That's why we're kind of in this housing surge right now where housing prices just keep climbing because there's just not enough supply. That's why I say, hey, just be smart about it, justify it. If you need to live at home and to be able to pay off those debts or at least get to where your cash flows to where you can be on your own to continue paying off debt, do that. However, if you have any chance of damaging that relationship at all, let's start looking at different options, see what we can do, even if it means moving, to the guest house out back if your folks have a guest house or, something like that, to have a little bit of separation. I recommend that because, again, guys, we recommend relationship over money, right? So don't sacrifice your relationships for money. You just can't. Sometimes they're inconsolable, like we said. So that's my suggestion. So I hope you feel encouraged on that, on what your decision is. If you have more questions, let me know in the comments below what your scenario might be like, or you can PM me on either Facebook or Instagram. I'd be happy to talk with you about it. But guys, I appreciate you guys. Again, if you haven't hit subscribe, go ahead and hit subscribe. Hit the like button if you don't mind. It helps me out. It also helps other people find the video easier if they're looking for this question. Guys, I appreciate you. We'll talk to you later. Peace.